Hey, welcome to another exciting episode of the Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Jeff Harrison, along with my laughing co-host, Leslie Spohr. Geez, her face is normally not that red unless her husband is choking her out, or she's laughing hysterically. So what's going on, Leslie?
Oh, I'm laughing because I said you always bring me back to control, and I said you always bring me back under control, and under your breath said I hardly think that's going to happen. I just got tickled. Oh
yeah,
I do try. You notice I'm wearing the same thing as last week. So it's because we're doing two podcasts in one day and I did not get up and change.
You'll notice I took the time to go change just because change for me is easy. Change is difficult. In fact, here it is. We're now in the first part of the year. This is episode 47, I believe, maybe 48. And here's before I go any further than that, we're about ready to go into season 2 because
are we?
Yes, because you can only have there was a show on TV. I think it's called what's the show? No. I'm talking about with Tom Selleck, and he was a police officer. He's a commissioner in New York City.
Oh, New York. Don't know.
It was like
Blue
whatever
Blood?
the name of Blue Bloods. Yeah. If you ever notice, there's 40 episodes per season. Sometimes we look at things now and it's there's 4 episodes in a season and you're like, I got to have more than that. Well, my point is we're going to cut this baby off. Today is the last episode of season 1. Going forward, it'll be season 2, episode 1. So I'm looking forward to getting into season 2.
Don't you want to go to 50 before you change seasons?
No, because we didn't start in week 1. We didn't start in January of 2025 in the program. We started after that. And so we started about a month in, which would have taken off the first 4 weeks. So otherwise, it's what kind of year end do we have? Well, let's just go this many episodes. So the cool thing about this is this decision doesn't have to go to committee. I'm the one publishing these suckers. So this is the last episode of season 2 or season 1. I know everybody wants to do that, but here's the thing. Here we are in January, Leslie, and
January.
Here we are in January of 2026. Most of us are now past all the, the excitement and the fireworks, all that kind of stuff. And we're looking at saying, hey, we need to set some goals. If we haven't already done, we need to set some goals for our business. Besides the personal, you're going to do some personal, but let's say for our business for the first of the year, we're going to set these and make them part of our future. We're going to 10x our business, or we're going to do whatever it is. But in the reality, most New Year's business goals will fail. And so today I want to pick your brain, being the brainiac you are, and I want to talk about why they fail. Now, I know on a personal basis, I think by February 10th, I think the number's 80 or 90% of the people have already given up on their New Year's resolutions because they've made it harder to keep them. Yeah, I'll give you an example. One of the easiest things to do, and I can't remember the name of the author, but he said, make accomplishing the goal easy. As an example, if you're saying, hey, I want to start working out every day. Well, put your clothes right beside your bed. So when you first pop out of bed, there's your tennis shoes, there's your gym trunks, there's your whatever, right? So it makes it easy. It's, change means the routine cannot remain the same, because you cannot keep doing and being the same person you are that got you here to get you there. So today I want to talk about, hey, Leslie, why your New Year's business goals will fail.
I don't wear trunks.
Okay. Gym shorts, tights, Lululemons. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I had to say it.
It's all right. I can cut this episode off anytime I want to. I have no control.
Don't hit that button.
So do you find that sometimes true? I mean, you've talked to people, you've been around, and you have people that they have these goals, and then you talk to them at the end of the year and they don't meet them. I mean, I'll be honest, I have not met my goals, and it's frustrating for me. And so what is it, and how can we overcome that?
Well, most business owners have goals, right? Revenue goals, growth goals, freedom goals. But the uncomfortable truth is if your systems can't support those goals, they don't matter. So goals do not create the freedom that you're seeking or the success that you're seeking. Systems do. And I
Okay, so
think that
quick question.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
just again, I'm just a kid from West Texas. So I'm going to keep things real simple. So when you say systems don't
System.
support it, right?
Mhm.
So imagine my goal is to put 5 gallons of water in a bucket, but my bucket is only 3 gallons. My 3 gallons is my system, and it doesn't support that new growth. So that means I have to get a bigger bucket, or I have to get 2 buckets, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
Or you don't try to put 5 gallons of water in a 3-gallon bucket because most people are smarter than that, but okay.
My point, but but at the same time, most
Yeah,
people
yeah,
will
yeah.
try to set these goals and do something new, but they won't
Right.
change their systems. That's the
Right.
3-gallon and 5-gallon water example.
Now I have a goal for next year of doubling my client base, which is a very, very lofty goal because we already have a lot of clients. But you have to create an action plan and have the systems in place for that. And an action plan could be, what is it going to take to bring in more clients, for example? It's easier sometimes to talk in stories and examples than it is to try to talk in theory. So one of those things is getting better brand awareness by attending more. My system is to do more in-person marketing and networking. That would be a system that I put in place. And in order to do that, I need to know how much time I can allot to that. And what is my goal for how many of those events per week do I want to do, or month? How many weeks per month? Right? Because if I don't get my name out there and I don't build those relationships, people are not going to refer business to us. Right? Would you agree with that?
Correct. I
Right.
totally correct. Yeah, I
Okay.
totally agree.
So a system, systems can be an actual software system or an application, or it could be the process by which you are trying to accomplish something. And I
So,
like, go ahead.
so as an example, like on my business card, if
Mhm.
I don't think I have one right here in front of me, but if I had my business card here, there's a QR code on there, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And what that does is oh yeah, here we go. So we have a QR code. So I've created a system that
Sorry.
when I go out and meet someone, my information is accessible by that QR code. Everybody nowadays knows what a QR code. So they scan that, and when they scan that, guess what? My system captures their information, and they can communicate. Is that what you're talking about? Like that would support me going out and saying, okay, I'm going to go out and start going to networking groups. But then if I get all these cards and I do nothing with them,
Right.
it's a fail. Is
That
that
is a
fair?
fail. That is a
Okay.
fail.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. You have to have a whole system or process in place that says, okay, I always recommend doing 2 or 3 events a week. If that's too much, even if you do 2 or 3 a month is better than nothing.
Would
Out
you say
here,
being consistent is most important?
being consistent is most
Okay.
important. And then as you go to, and you need to pick which events have the largest potential to help you accomplish the goal that you have, right? So
Yep.
I go to the chamber, I do BNI, and I do several real estate groups that I go to.
That
And
you
out
speak
here,
at, right?
some of them I speak at, some of them I just go and network with people. I collect cards everywhere I go. I cannot stand it when somebody only has something on their phone because I'm old school. I need a physical card. To be able to scan their card and it automatically upload to my database is ideal. But at least if I have a physical card, I make notes on those and I remember who I need to follow up with and who I need to add to my newsletter. So, and I tell everybody I meet, that's what I'm going to do with them. I'm going to add you. Is it okay if I add you to my newsletter? Because you have to have permission. And so most of the people are good with that. They all know if they're there marketing and networking, that's the whole point of it, right? Another thing that you can do is create a database of contacts or a CRM, if you will. What is it?
Customer relationship management.
Customer relationship management. Yeah.
It could be contact. It could be contact as well, but
Yeah.
customer relationship management.
Yeah, and have ticklers that tell you when to go back to these people because most of the sales process takes a while. right? Nothing is quick. I'm working on one thing right now that it's been the better part of this year that I've been working on. But when it comes through, we could in theory double our business just from that, right? So some of these sales cycles take longer, and as a business owner, you need to be aware of that fact and manage your expectations. Too many people think they go one time and all this work is going to pour in, and that doesn't happen. So a system for marketing and networking is always, always helpful, especially as we're going into the new year. You need to know what you want to accomplish and how do I get there. I quite often use the example of I wanted to be certified at the fellow level in my industry at the time. And so that took several things. You had to pass a number of tests. You had to qualify with a certain skill. You had to I think I've talked about this before. You had to be published. You had to teach. You had to do all these things. And so now for each of those, you break that down even farther. How many articles do I have to write to try to get published? How many speaking engagements do I have to do? How many times do I have to apply for a speaking engagement? These days, it's pretty easy. I can just say, hey, can I come talk to you? And they're pretty good about letting me do that because I built a reputation. Someday, by the way, I want to speak on the college circuit to kids that want to build their own businesses, because I think that I could offer valuable insight towards that someday. That's on my someday goal.
You better hurry. You better hurry.
I know I'm getting old. Is that what you're trying to say?
because the fact that colleges are changing rapidly. So
but
I think the topic you're talking about is ideal. I think it's very important.
Yeah, I heard somebody talking this morning on TV about how more millionaires are being made out of teenagers because of AI and the tools that are available than ever before in history. Quickly, they're becoming millionaires because they have this idea and they're smart about how the systems they have to put in place to get there. Systems are everything, whether that's an app or whether that's AI or whether that's effort, physical effort and a process to try to accomplish something. So you need to look at what steps are required to accomplish this specific goal or task and probably break it down even farther. Once you get one, then what do I have to do to get that? So there is some effort that goes into this. When people make New Year's resolutions, they just say, oh, I want to lose 50 pounds by June. Okay, that's fair and probably doable. But what do you have to do to lose 50 pounds by June? Right? You have to work out. How often? Well, probably you have to walk a mile or two every day. You might want to add some strength training to that. So there needs to be some time scheduled for that. You need to modify your diet, which requires evaluating your diet to see. Of course, you could just do the shots, which is my thing, but you still have to modify what you're doing, what you're eating, and all that stuff. So there are steps you have to take to accomplish that goal. Same in business. What are the steps? That's the most important thing. Okay. You're just staring at me.
No, I thought you were going to take it to the next thing. I can. Well, then I think it's a situation like, okay, now the steps required. How are you going to implement those? Are you going to do them all yourself? Are you going to delegate them to somebody on your team? Do you have to hire someone new to take that role? So now I think you've decided on the what, and now you have to decide on the how or the who.
Right. How and then who, usually. If you're the who, that's fine too. If it's somebody else that needs to help you, like some people will go out, they're not comfortable. I know somebody in this room that is not comfortable, not my room, your room, that is not comfortable going to events and talking to people. Shockingly so, because you're so affable and so glib about having a conversation that it shocks me that you are uncomfortable in a social situation. So somebody like you who's also uncomfortable may want to hire somebody to do that for them, right? So maybe the who is I'm going to outsource my marketing and networking to somebody who really enjoys that. Because some people don't enjoy it. I can put on my butterfly face. That's what I call it, my butterfly face when I'm at those events. And it's not who I am. Believe it or not, I'm an introvert. But I can play the extrovert, and it's not a lie. It's just my business face to be able to market my business. And enthusiasm is most of that, So I'm comfortable doing it. You're not comfortable doing it. Am I wrong in that?
That's correct. Now, if I were hired to stand in front of that group, I don't care how big a group it is, I'll be fine.
You'd be fine.
I've done hundreds and I've done 1,000. So
Right.
yeah, I'm good with that. But if I have to walk into a room where there's 35 or 40 people, I don't know who they are. I'm uncomfortable with that.
And see, to me, what I see
weird.
when I walk into that room, I did that with CAI. I walked in, there were 200 people I did not know, and I got excited because when I walked,
You're like a
seriously,
lioness on the Serengeti, and they're like these
antelope.
items out, the antelope out there. Like, all right, who do I
It's
eat
like
first?
not a diet, but anyway. So, but what I see is opportunity, right? There's 200 people here, or however many, that I don't know, and I don't know which of those can help me further my goals. So the more of them I get to know and the relationships I build with those people, you never know where that's going to lead. You also don't know who's tied to who else, especially out here in the desert where it's kind of a small community. So you never, ever say anything bad about anyone. But that's an opportunity to me. I see that as a fun opportunity. You see that as, oh my God, I don't want to do this. And yet, like I said, you're right. You can talk to anybody as far as standing up in front of them. You're really comfortable. There's a lot of people who can't do that. I like to do that too, but there's a lot of people who can't do it. And so you have to understand what is my strength and what is my weakness, and how do I leverage my strengths, right? And how do I convert my weaknesses into a strength? And sometimes that's outsourcing that task to somebody else.
Correct.
Agreed?
Yep.
Yep.
Go
ahead.
I was going to say, I think once you have that, then it's a matter of setting a schedule. Like as an example, you and I are both a member of a networking group called BNI.
Right.
And, that has a very structured situation. Like today when we're filming, it's on a Tuesday and our normal day is Tuesday for BNI.
Right.
And it was weird that we didn't go. Like it just kind of threw my whole day off. It was really strange. And because that set schedule, like I look forward to that, even if I don't want to go or it's been a weird morning, whatever, I'll go. And then the meeting itself is very structured. So it seems like whenever you set a schedule, it's easier to keep it. Like as an example for you, if you say, hey, I only do, like for example, on our podcast, again, this is because of the holiday schedule. We're doing this on a Tuesday. Normally we do them on Wednesdays. Like that's a set schedule. That's something, it seems like once we get in a schedule, it's easier to keep it. And it's almost like Leslie, it's like we're keeping a promise, not just with ourselves, but with that other person. And if I set a schedule saying, okay, listen, I'm going to go to one, it's hard for me to say this, but I'm going to go to one chamber event where I don't know anyone a week. And I'm just going to pick, even if it's just a grand opening and they're going to snip it and we're going to have some drinks or some Kool-Aid or whatever. They're going to cut it they're going to cut the ribbon with the big fake scissors. And I'm going to congratulate people and then I'm going to leave. See, that would be a step in the right direction for me. Because then the next time, if I went to another event and I saw people that I saw there, now I don't feel so uncomfortable because there's a connection. There's something that is a connection point that I can walk up and say, hey, weren't you at the ribbon cutting for XYB? Yeah, I saw you there. Oh yeah. What have you been up to since? So it's all of a sudden there's this bridge to start going across. So that in itself, as you're saying this, so like, okay, maybe I just need to do that. And the cool thing about it is typically in a ribbon cutting event or grand opening, those aren't like overwhelming and they're not like hours of time. Usually they're like all done in less than an hour.
I don't know. I don't do those.
Yeah. Less than an hour. And so that might be like my warm-up event. I'm going to write that down. That's my warm-up event. I don't stretching before I go to the gym.
I don't do it because there's not enough time there for me. I like to go to bigger groups and talk to more people than because the people that are there for the business are a little bit distracted because they're opening their business and they're all excited about that. So I prefer to go to bigger events. But if that works for you, then by all means, that's what you should do. And when you talked about the schedule, it's really important, I believe, to put on your calendar, whether that's therapy classes or coaching sessions or the gym, or you're going to play pickleball today, or which is another form of exercise, or we're going to do our podcast. I mean, it's on my calendar, and I respect the fact that it's on my calendar. In fact, it's in the same color on my calendar as client meetings. That's how important it is to me to do this. So scheduling everything on your calendar shows you not only what you're doing this week, but what you've done in the past. And you can evaluate, again, if you're doing a time study, whether you're being effective with your time or not, and furthering the objectives of your business. And I say objectives instead of goals because goals are kind of on the same par as resolutions. You should have goals always, but if you don't figure out how to accomplish those goals and you don't schedule the tasks to accomplish them, then they aren't going to get realized, just like resolutions fall away. It takes 21 days to change a habit. It really does. I tested this out, and it really does take 21 days.
How many people did you have in this study?
Just me.
Okay.
If you really want to know, I decided when I wanted to test this out, I said, okay, I'm going to shave my legs every day for 21 days and see if that becomes a habit. And you know what? I can't go a day without doing it now because I did it for 21 days in a row. So I know it's more than you needed to know about me, but it's easy to test it out with something that you can relate to. I just wanted to see if that was true, that 21 days made a habit. And it is true. It does. That's what happens. And if you're OCD, then you really get upset if you don't do it. You have to complete what you start. But in the business, if you put everything on your calendar, you're more likely to honor it and do it than if you don't. Now, I even have my GPSR meetings on there, and I haven't been going to those. That's the Palm Springs Realtor Group that Art does, because they're Tuesday or they're Wednesdays after the Tuesday BNI, where I had to get up at 0:30 to go, and I just really don't feel like getting up at 0:30 again on Wednesday. However, the reception I got there when I spoke was so good, I really need to make it a point in the new year to go there. And you and I will have to talk about podcast scheduling because they moved theirs back an hour. But what I'm saying is that it's important to put these things on your calendar. That's the point I'm trying to make. Set a schedule, put it on your calendar, tell yourself you're going to honor whatever's on your calendar and not change it unless there's a dire emergency. You were very kind to let me change one of our podcasts to a later hour because I had an opportunity to go meet a potential client. And that should take precedence because that's money making. I don't know if we're ever going to make money on this podcast, even when we get to season 2, but we might not. I don't know. This is just fun to do.
There's a somebody that maybe a lot of people know. His name is Russell Brunson.
I know that.
He owns a company called ClickFunnels, and he's written several books. And there's another gentleman that I listen to. His name is Omar El Takari. He's out of Las Vegas. And he used to work for a company called Think Media. And I saw him there first, and he was one of their presenters online about digital equipment. And the point I'm making here is he said that he heard from Russell Brunson. Listened to one of his podcasts, said, if you'll do one long form video a week, every week, he said, in a year from now, you'll never have to worry about money again. Well, last week was his 1-year anniversary, and he said he never has to worry about money again. And all he's doing is his podcast. Now, from his podcast, he has generated interest, and you're kind of doing that a little bit, if you will. It's in the early stages of your 5-day challenge, because that spawns off into like, okay, you can do maybe somebody needs your software, or maybe they want additional coaching, or they want to buy your course that you have. And that's kind of what Omar has done. And he has now his coaching program is 1 year, and it's it's $25,000 a year to be involved in it. But
Wow.
he does his 5-day challenge when he first started, Leslie, was free. Now it's $100. And if you wanted then to be in the VIP, which is an extra hour, but he does a group, he doesn't do individuals, is another $197. And so that's all added up. I think it was over $2 million this calendar year of 2025, because he really got into that. My point being is we have 4 more episodes before we hit that 1 year mark. So we really got to get going here, because I never had to worry about money, because we're just sat here on the podcast and talk.
I could do that forever.
Yeah. In all seriousness, what we're talking about today is we're talking about, hey, why your New Year's business goals will fail. And we've kind of talked about a few things. And one is you don't have a system, because you can't support the change without a system. The other is you have no action plan. You can't just, I remember, and when I say Dr. Joe, he was the pastor at our church. And he said, there's a lot to praying. He said, but it's treat and move your feet. In other words, you've got to make something happen. And I've thought about that lately when it comes to learning. Like I am a voracious learner, but I'm like, wait a second, is that really not learning? Because until I actually apply it, it's not learned. It's just passed through knowledge. I hear it, I read it, I share it with you on an email or friends or whatever, but I'm not applying it. And yesterday I spent all day applying new knowledge. And I got to be honest with you, at the end of the day, I felt so accomplished because of some stuff I'd never done before. I got done. It was pretty cool. So
yeah,
that's an action plan. And then to make sure you have a system to follow up. As an example, like you're talking about going out and meeting people. Well, you can meet a lot of people, but if you have nothing in place that will follow up with these people that's more automated in a very short order, you're going to be like that business who puts a fishbowl out and says, hey, we're going to have drawing and for a free something, and they get 300 new cards a month and they draw somebody, but there's bags of cards in the back room. They have no follow-up system.
Oh, that drives me crazy.
It's like, you shouldn't even do that. Just don't do it. And then figure out what steps are required to accomplish your new task. And then is it a who or a how? And then, as you just said, set a schedule. What's our next step, Leslie?
Can you go back to like the second one? What was the second one?
The second one is systems to support the growth.
That was not the second one, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first one was why your New Year's business goals will fail. The next one is support systems. And the next one is action plan. How much time are you allotting for this?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about was okay, that's what reminded me. So it's the same thing with power of positive thought, right? And I'm a huge advocate for the power of positive thought and manifesting your own destiny, because I truly believe that the universe wants us to have whatever we want. And it doesn't understand no or not. So you don't want to put those when you're setting your intentions and you're putting it out, you do not want to use either of those words, because it will bring you more of what you don't want instead of what you do want. And so an action plan works the same way. When you're trying to manifest manifest works the same as an action plan. When you're trying to manifest something, it isn't like you say, I want $1 million and it will show up from the leprechaun one day. It means you have to figure out what that action plan is to go accomplish that. It's the same thing with manifesting. You have to put the intention out, and then you have to take steps too to do things that will help you manifest. We make our own luck, in other words. People say, oh, that guy's so lucky. Yeah, but he probably made his own luck.
Well, I just want to jump in here for just a second. I want to send some signals your way, because here's the thing. Rarely does success knock on your door and said, hey, I'm here. Can you use me?
Right.
And by that, I mean, by you getting out and you're now in BNI and you're in a GPSR and you're going and you're speaking, 1, 2, 3 times a week. And you never know when it comes to manifesting it comes from places we can't even imagine right now.
Right.
And so by you doing those things, like you said, you are doing the groundwork. You're taking action, and you're talking to people that you didn't know that this person knows this person who has this massive business who can connect you, and they say you're the perfect fit. And because now they refer you, it changes the dynamics of the whole conversation. But
That's
that
right.
would have never happened had you sat at home and said, it's not going to happen. And no
Yeah.
disrespect to anybody doing but the action plan.
Yeah, you really have to it's you making your own luck. You're out there taking the steps that you need to take in order to accomplish it, and you have to break it down to the lowest common denominator
Tell me what that
because
means.
that means the steps get smaller and smaller to help you accomplish whatever it is you're trying to do. So, we were talking about the weight loss thing. So maybe, okay, let's look at our diet. All right. So maybe we decide that some foods don't agree with us and we don't know why. And maybe we go get an allergy test and we find out, oh my gosh, we're allergic to certain things and it's precluding our ability to lose weight.
Mm,
I once knew a lady that she could not lose weight no matter what she did, and she was smart and uh, she knew the right things to do, and it turned out she had a deficiency in B12,
wow.
and once they started supplementing her with B12, the weight fell off of her.
Wow.
You
Wow.
know, so you never know what the problem is. In some cases, it's just you damn eat too much. In some cases, there are those people.
um,
There's some people that chemicals in food really bother them more than other people. And so they need to identify those things. So what I'm saying is that the steps might need to be broken down to let's start with a blood test. And then let's start with, maybe a specialist. And then let's keep breaking that down until we figure out the cause of our eating deficient. I had a problem for a long time because I had gastric bypass. So I don't absorb nutrients from foods. And I had
hmm,
to be put on liquid vitamins in order to absorb the vitamins I need. And it was like night and
wow.
day for me, not a weight issue, but a health and vitality issue. Those liquid vitamins really made a difference.
Wow.
So, we all have different, and I'm just saying, using this as health as an example, in your business, what are you trying to accomplish? And then what are the steps to get there? And then what are the steps to make that step work? And then below that, what are the steps to make those steps I mean, it is kind of a pyramid or a
Is it?
domino
I was going to say a
effect.
domino effect. I remember one
Yeah.
time I made a domino effect issue or thing for you,
Did you?
demonstrating yeah, I did. It's been a bit, but
What
I
was it?
made it was something about the effects of what you do. I think with your 5-day challenge, this early part of it, it was like it wasn't truly a domino. It was more like
Oh,
it
I
went
remember.
and it dropped and one triggered the next thing. It was just a natural process.
Right. And, yeah, exactly. And so, um, these are dominoes. And so you get down to the lowest common domino or denominator, the lowest common one. And then once that one trips, then the next one will start to tip over and you can finish whatever you need to do to get that one to tip over. And you just keep working up and then all of a sudden it's done. I used to say, and you've heard me say this a million times, building a business is like pushing a train up a hill, right? Pushing a train up a hill. You got your back into it, your legs are screaming, you're pushing it, and it's just the wheels are rusty and it's really, really hard. And at some point, and there's a book called this, The Tipping Point. At some point, you get to the crest of that hill and the train runs down the other side.
Mm,
And but each of those steps on the way up the hill or up the roller coaster or whatever it is are a step in the process, part of your action plan. What do you have to do to get your leg to move one more step and keep pushing that train up a hill? And so some people can intuitively create an action plan, other people cannot. That's why I help people because to me, it's super easy and fun to create an action plan. And honestly, people will go, God, I never thought of that. Oh, some of them will go, "Oh god, do I have to do that?"
mm,
You get
yeah.
both of those, "Oh god, I didn't think of." So, it just depends, just like we were talking about with you and, you realize that you could do a smaller group and be more comfortable because you want the beginning of a relationship before you get into a bigger group.
Mhm.
So you have somebody that you can go and talk to. I don't need that. I can walk into a big group and just start talking to people, cold calling, basically talking to people. And I have my tricks. I'll say, "Have we met
She is
before?"
tricky.
Knowing
She is tricky.
I am slippery. Uh, I'll say to somebody, "Have we met before?" Even though I know for a fact I have never met this person in my life. but I can say to them, have we met before? Because you look really familiar to me. And they will say, gosh, I don't know. And I'll say, well, what do you do? And then they'll start telling me. And then we've started that relationship,
Mm,
right? Because when people talk about themselves, they automatically create a relationship.
yeah.
So whatever your goals are, if they're financial, if they're bringing on new people, if you're going to bring in new people, what do you need to do? Right? You need an ad. First of all, you need to decide what the position's going to be and what is their job duties going to be, right? So that you can then create an ad. So we're breaking this down. So I've decided I'm going to hire somebody, but I need to know what I'm going to delegate to them and have them do. And do I have the documentation in place to teach them, or can I teach them how I want them to do the job, right? This is before you ever hire anybody. Do I have what I need to teach them? And then write a job description. And then what do I have to do? I have to post it somewhere. Craigslist is not ideal, but Indeed or I don't know if Monster is still around, but one of those job search places is good. You'll get inundated with applications you don't need. So you have to have a process or a system for filtering through those and saying, okay, this person off the bat is not a good candidate just because of this piece and this piece. That's how I met Dan. We met on a dating site. And the only reason I talked to him was because he had good syntax and he could spell.
Mm.
That was my criteria. If you can't spell or structure a sentence, I'm not talking to you. It's that simple.
Lucky Dan.
I could have passed up some really good deals. But if you can't spell, sorry. So, you have to have criteria. So when you're hiring somebody, you have to have criteria. And for me, some of it is, are they in the area or not? Because we have to have quick response times. And have they had previous work that indicates that they're rule followers? Because I have procedures. And are they able to multitask, or are they a linear thinker? Linear thinkers are fine, but not for my business because we're constantly doing multiple things at a time.
Yeah.
Right. So, you have to set the criteria so you can see that hiring somebody is not as easy as throwing an ad in the paper and bringing somebody in. You have to understand what you need and what the qualifications are and how much time you're willing to put in, how fast you need them, how much time you can spend on training, how much is it going to cost you to train them? I mean, there's just so many pieces of this action plan to bring in somebody new.
Well, it's just, as we're talking about this whole idea of why your New Year's goals will not will fail. So many years, for decades, I've been taught, start with the end in mind and then break it down. And as you said, break it down into its simplest form, like what's my first step? But I start out saying, okay, if it's a financial goal, or let's just say it's a weight loss goal. It's a particular weight that I want to be at. And let's say I wanted to lose 20 pounds in 10 years, or 20 pounds in a year. And so the first thing I'd have to do is I'd have to get on the scale and find out where I am today. And then based on going, okay, well, if I'm going to do that, what would that person who has that weight, what would they do? Well, they would work out this, they would eat this, they would have this kind of rest, they would do these things. And then I would probably, and then I would start layering those in as we talked about the scheduling and the action plan. I'd make sure it's on part of my day. Like maybe I put on my phone that, hey, and I do have on my phone that I go to the gym every morning, right? 5 days a week. And then after that, I have, maybe it's a certain meal that I have. And then maybe in the afternoon, I go for an afternoon walk. And I schedule a lot of that stuff in because I know these are the habits that I need to talk about. Like you said, 21 days. If I can get through the first 21 days, those are habits of someone who has lost that weight, who is that person I want to be. But I started out with the end in mind. I broke it down. Is that a fair way to do that then? Because I think sometimes people just say, I have that goal out there, and then they go back to doing the same things they used to do. And I think
that's why they fail.
That's why they fail.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they fail. Actually, I was breaking it down even farther. I was going to say 24 pounds in a year because there's 12 months. That means I need to lose 2 pounds a month. And a pound
I'm not that much overweight.
And a pound is equivalent to 2,500 calories, or 3,500? 3,500. No, 2,500 calories, I think. So one of those. And then, so I need to have a deficit of 700 calories a week basically to lose whatever it is, to lose 2 pounds in a month, whatever. And so, in order to do that, what changes do I need to make in my diet to have a deficit of X amount of calories a day, a week, whatever, so that I can consistently lose that stuff, because weight is only energy. I say it's what energy at rest, but basically a calorie is a measure of heat. And then therefore, how much heat do I need to burn up in order to work in a deficit? Because if you stay even, you stay at the same weight, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, I could get into all that, because believe me, I'm almost a weight loss expert because of all the years I fought it myself. But that's how far down you have to break it. You need to understand the process. What system do I have to put in place? Well, I need to operate at a deficit of X amount of calories. That's what bodybuilders do.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
We talked about in episode 43 or 44 and 45 about overwhelm. I'm just curious if for some people, if they break it down to the calorie burning, and if that's overwhelm from them, does that mean that they can't accomplish their goal, or do they just have to put it in the framework that works best for them?
Exactly. Everybody's different.
Okay.
Which is why I do the 5 days individually, because everybody is different. Everybody's business challenges are different. They're all the same, and yet they're different, if that makes sense. I hear the same things over and over again, but in different contexts. And you have to understand what resonates with that particular person and how they learn. Like, I had a lady that I didn't think I could help, because everything I suggested, she said no to. Remember that? And
Yeah,
I finally said to her on day 3, I'm not sure I can help you. I've never said that to anybody before. It was heartbreaking
the
for
takeaway
me.
close. I'm out of here.
Yeah. And she goes, no, you can help me. And I'm like, okay. All right. I said, well, did you just create a job for yourself? Is that what you're trying to do? Because she didn't want to bring in people. She didn't want to do this. She didn't want to do that. And I'm like, help me help you. And we finally figured out a way to do it. And we finished the 5-day, and she was happy, and she did a nice testimonial, and all is good. But for a minute, I thought I was in trouble because everything was a no. So you really have to find what resonates with that particular person. And as you're doing this yourself, be honest. If trying to get down to the caloric burn is just too much for you, and I can understand how it would be, then do it a different way. Maybe you substitute, oh God, I hate to say kale for something else, right? Or you substitute water for milk in your protein shake, right? Because that really alters the calories. Believe me, you'll develop a taste for it. It'll be fine.
Can I ask you another question? I apologize, I keep interrupting, but
no.
Clarity is, do you find that the more we go or commit to that particular new task, the more detailed or open we are to that granular stuff? And I'll give you an example. Like when I first started playing golf, as an example, it's just like, I just want to hit the ball, right?
Yeah.
And then I want to get it in the air. Then I want to hit it straighter. Then I want to hit it higher. Then I want to hit it long. And all these things just kept evolving to the point where, I played competitively on tour. I went to college for golf, and then I taught golf and played very well. But then there was always that evolution of that. But when I first started, it was like, hey, I didn't want to go to gym class. That was my ultimate goal. And the way to get out was to play golf, which I didn't play. And so I worked really hard to get the ball in the air so I could get on the team. But then as I got better, my understanding and demands of what I would do, in other words, the calorie understanding, became like, okay, I'm ready for that. Do you see that possibility happening?
I do see that. And I don't want to stray too far from the business examples. We're off on other things. These all apply to business too.
Absolutely.
Okay? All of this stuff is relevant to your business. You have to know where you want to get to ultimately. Now, you may not, where you think you want to get to today may be different than where you want to get to tomorrow. And that's perfectly okay. Because like I said, I allowed my clients to take me in all different directions on my business. Did I ever imagine in my wildest dreams that I would be a general contractor and I would do remodeling projects? Heck no, I did not. That never crossed my mind. But clients were asking me to do these things, and I said yes. And then I follow all the rules. So then I needed a license. So then I had to get that. So your business evolves. And the other thing too, and this might be another reason. I don't know if this is a reason that your goals themselves might fail, but I see a lot of businesses fail because people don't think broad enough about revenue streams. And we really haven't talked about that in any of our podcasts, but maximizing your revenue streams, where you're getting income from, is really important. You have a lot of places you get income from. You have the Content Accelerator, you have videos, you have not this one, but podcast. You have all these different places that bring in money to you. And so for me, I have lots of different places that bring in money also for both of my businesses. Some of the people I work with have one stream of revenue and that's it. They're not thinking about alternate services to provide or different products to offer or charging vendors to work with them or brokering services. These are all extra revenue streams that are usual and customary in a business like mine. Right. And you already have lots of different products and services that you offer that help for that too. You didn't say, I'm just going to do video editing and that's it.
No. In the beginning, I did.
I know, but for how many
Right.
years?
Yeah, not very long, because eventually, maybe a year. And then when my customers ask for more things,
Exactly.
what do we typically say? Yes. And then
Right.
go
Well, you
figure it
should.
out. Right.
Yeah.
And then
So,
go figure it out. And that's what
right.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called selling with an empty bench. I love selling with an empty bench. That's where
I
you
thought it
say
was
yes.
selling without a clue.
That's also true. I just believe that you should say yes and then go figure it out. Always
Yeah.
under promise and over deliver. You may not know how to deliver, but if you say yes to something, you better damn well figure it out right away.
Because
Right?
isn't sometimes when people are asking that, Leslie, they ask you because they've got a relationship with you, they already trust you,
Yes.
and they
True.
would rather do business with you, even if it's different than what you're giving them, but it
Right.
is an ancillary business that you could, or service you can get them, that's already a relationship you have. That's the hardest part, in my opinion, of getting a new customer, is that relationship, and you already have it. So when
Right.
they say, hey, like we were joking, I don't know if it was maybe on the last episode, talking about window washing, and you say, well, hey, I have somebody who knows how to do that. Well, you have that relationship, right?
Right. Well, so do you. He's in BNI, but okay. So I'm just saying that people need to think broader. When you set a goal for your business, do you have the systems in place? Do you know what action plan you need to implement in order to accomplish those goals? Have you done a time assessment to see how you're spending your time to make sure that the tasks that you're doing further those goals and feed into the action plan, right? So that these things, you can tick them off. Okay, I needed to do this, done. I needed to do this, done. This is ongoing. I have to do this every week. Okay, I'll schedule it on my calendar, right? It isn't as hard as we might be making it sound, but it's definitely a process. It is a system. It is how you accomplish your goals and stick with it, because it does take time. It takes 21 days to create a habit. If you're going to build your company, you need to have a plan, and you can't just wing it. You can wing
That's
it,
not a
but
plan.
you can wing it is a plan. No decision is a decision, right? But you're not going to get it depends on what you want. Some people are happy making just enough money to pay their bills and have fun. That's fine for them. Other people want to build not a monopoly, but what's the word? It starts with a C. I know what I want. It's another noun. They want to build a conglomerate. I don't know if that's the right word, but they want to build something big. I'm trying to build something big with 2 companies. Right? I want to double my client base on one side and provide the highest level of services possible on one side. On the other side, I am trying to develop different products that will help our lifestyle management industry so that other people can be successful and be and achieve what their dreams and visions are. Right?
It's almost like what you're doing in that second business. Stop me wrong, but it's almost like your people that come to the 5-day challenge, they're in the lifestyle business. they're looking up, they're standing in front of this mountain and this cliff, this sheer wall, and they know their answer is at the top of the mountain. And what I see you doing is you drop a rope down to them and help them climb that hill.
That's right. That's
right.
right.
Because
Exactly.
you're up there, right? You're up there. So you're helping them and realize, hey, if we can just get you to put one foot in front of the other, next thing you know, it's like that old adage of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You don't have to eat the whole elephant at once. You'll choke. You can't climb the whole mountain in one step. It's one step at a time, one step at a time. And every time they take a step, does their confidence go up or down?
Up, always.
Yeah,
Up,
absolutely.
up,
They get more and more
always.
confident. And
Yeah.
so anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's
No,
something that triggered.
that's exactly right. One of the ladies, and this happens a lot too, but just one I'm thinking of specifically in the 5-day, we became friends, and she didn't want to leave me. When it was over, she didn't want to be over. And so she ended up signing up for software. And of course, when you get the software, I help you unconditionally. I'm always going to help you to help you be successful. She's really smart and she's going to go places. I can see it in her already. She gets stuff right away. She understands things. She has good business acumen. So she will go a lot of places, but they don't all have to be like that. If I can help anybody have one aha moment that they can further their own goals and stick with it because most business fail in the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a statistic that is unfortunate. And why? Because go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, because they lack what we've talked about today in this, because quite frankly, a new year's business goals is the same as a new business goals. Right. They fail for the same reasons, right?
Right. You have to continually, I only allowed myself to have one fear. I didn't have the fear of public speaking because I pushed through that. I didn't have the fear of somebody hating me or whatever, because I know that I'm annoying. So that was fine. I was okay with that.
She is, but we put up with her. We love her.
But my one fear I allowed myself to have was the fear of quitting too soon. I was always afraid that if I quit trying to build my company, that success was right around the corner. Right. And I was more than 10 years in before I realized I was a success. You know what I mean? So the fear of quitting too soon, and that's a podcast we need to do about the different fears and how to combat those fears, because there's a bunch of them that in business, especially, that I know how to get around, but we'll do that on maybe the next one. But the fear of quitting too soon says you keep putting one foot in front of the other. Just keep swimming. As Dory would say, just keep swimming. That's from Finding Nemo. You probably haven't seen it because it's a kid's movie. And then that picture right there was always in my head. For the last 20 years, that picture has been in my head right there. I was always afraid I was one strike away from hitting gold or diamonds or the jackpot, whatever. Right? That has always been my vision in my head. And so every day, the people who succeed, the people who don't fail, the people whose goals don't fail are the ones who keep going every single day, no matter how rough it gets, no matter what the economy does, no matter what your friends tell you, because they will all tell you no matter what, you keep believing in yourself and going one foot in front of the other. And believe me, you will be a success. Honestly, I didn't even think about being a success until I was one for a while and I didn't even realize it. It's like one day, I remember I told you one day, I was like, oh my God, I am a success. I didn't even, because I'm so focused, head down, focused on one step, one more step, one more step. That's what makes you successful.
Well, I think it's the whole idea. And even this example here, never stop trying. It's just being consistent. Mm-hmm. And, that's my whole thing with when it comes to my business, when it comes to content, is it's not sporadic. It's not, I'm going to make 5 videos and then I won't make any more videos for the next 6 months. Sorry, you're going to be like the guy in the bottom of this picture. You're going to walk away upset because you're not getting any responses. That's why, quite frankly, here we are 40 some odd episodes in, and we're not this overnight success. No. Now, if you listen to our podcasts or watch our podcasts, there's a tremendous amount of real world knowledge in there that could help you in your business.
Right.
And here's a cool thing. What we're sharing is timeless. So whether people, Leslie, listen to episode 3 a month from now, or today, or a year from now, they're still going to get tremendous value. And that may be that one that they hook onto and keep going. This is purely, and I don't mean this like braggadociously, or if that's even a word, it's not something I'm saying we're so good you should listen to us, but damn it, we're so good you should listen to us. And
Yeah.
you can use it anytime, because this is not theory. This is, we're in the trenches every day. And if we come across something, we're saying, hey, we talked about on episode 41, we talked about X, Y, and Z, and we really looked into it. And you know what? We can improve upon that. We're going to do that. Yes or yes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I wish I had more examples. I feel like a lot of the times I'm using the same examples because they're pertinent and relevant and they work, even though they might have been 20 years ago, even though they might have been 5 years ago. They still are correct for the situation, you know. And what I really enjoy for me is when people ask me questions and say, maybe we could do a live podcast one day where people do ask questions. That would be, we probably have to queue them up, but that would still be fun, you know, because I do my best work when I'm thinking on the spot, you know. That's why I like doing this with you, because generally you'll ask me questions and it's real helpful. We've been doing this since what, X's and O's, or before that even.
Been a while, yeah.
Yeah. If you guys go to my personal YouTube, I got dozens of videos. I should go back and save what some of them were, and we could talk about that stuff.
I think even that's relevant. It's very good stuff. So
yeah, it's all good. You know, business is what I know and what I do. And, you know, and my goal is to help other companies be successful. I want to help them help themselves. I want to teach them what they need to know so that they can be successful. And I know that sounds cliche and trite and all that stuff, but I really, truly mean it with all of my heart. Nothing gives me greater joy than for somebody to go, I never thought about it like that. You know?
Well, you know, Leslie, I was on a 5-day challenge, and I mentioned his name earlier, Russell Brunson. Now, Russell Brunson does not have to do 5-day challenges. He makes plenty of money with his software company that he owns called ClickFunnels. And he does really, really well. But when somebody asked him in a live presentation, he looked at the camera, he said, because I just love this and I love helping people. And that reminds me of you. You just dig this stuff. You know, the financial rewards may not show up right now, but it might be one of those things like in our conversation, it triggers you something to do and you go create a new stream of income. Or you go back on a 5-day challenge, which is on the screen right now. And now something we talked about today helps them find that next level, you know, that summit in their climb. And I know who you are, is like, that will bring you such joy.
It does. It really, truly does. And, you know, we talked about why goals fail, and they fail because people don't understand the amount of work they have to do to accomplish them. That's really the bottom line. You know, it's with anything. It's just like with manifesting. It just doesn't happen. You have to work for it. Nothing comes with no work. Well, I mean, maybe the lottery, but then you had to buy a ticket. So there was some work in there, right? Yeah. And I'm being a little bit facetious, but you know what I mean, is that if you want to be successful, if you want to accomplish anything in life, you need an action plan. You need to schedule it. You need to make the time for it, and you need to work at it every single day. And for most of us business owners, that means multiple goals and multiple tasks and multiple action items. You know, it isn't just, okay, I'm going to do one. Can't be just one, because there's too many pieces. Yeah. So then you get into do I need to delegate, and do I, you know, who do I need to hire? And, you know, it's a spider web. It just gets bigger and bigger. But if you really want to be successful, it's all doable. It doesn't have to be painful, and it can be done in little bitty bites.
That's right. And it's usually better when it's in little bitty bites, because again, you're going to absorb it and learn it and do it. It's not just about, like, if you listen to this podcast, if you listen to all 46 or 7 podcasts we have on here and you take absolutely no action, I got to be honest with you, you've wasted your time.
Yeah, no kidding.
if you listen to one and you take massive action, it could be life changing. Life changing. And so keep that in mind as we talk about this is, this whole step of like why businesses fail, because they don't have an action plan. They've allotted no time for this. And we've all heard this, Leslie, and I'll start wrapping up, but it says, hey, you had this, I thought you were going to go to the gym every week. Oh, I just got busy and, I got the kids and I got this and I got this. And you're like, I guess it really wasn't that important to you then, was it?
Well, perfect example before we wrap up. I got one of those shake plates. Have you seen those? You stand on them and they shake the crap out of you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. And they're really good for your lymphatic system. I mean,
Okay.
all the inflammation in my body went away when I started using that. Well, different people in my family have now gotten them because they've seen the results and they really like it. It's awesome. My sister got one and she was very consistent on it for a while. And then she stopped lately and she goes, oh, my mind's just not there. I can't get on it. I'll get back to it. I said, it's 10 minutes. She goes, I know, but I said, Eve, I know that you sit and watch some of your programs for more than 10 minutes at a time. Put that thing in front of the TV and stand on it for 10 minutes.
There you go.
Right? There is no excuse for that to me.
Yeah.
And it's the same for business owners. You can do this one step at a time. You just have to make it a priority and then you'll be successful.
Hey, make sure if you haven't already, jot this down and it's on the screen. It's Leslie's 5-day freedom challenge. It's no charge. It's priceless. It's not a group. It's one-on-one. And she meets with you for 5 days. And the first couple of days, you're figuring out, hey, who are you? It's almost like say, let's get you on the scale and let's get your vitals. Let's check, just like when you go to the doctor, let's find out who you are. And then based on where you want to go, she'll help you based on who you are and where you are right now, get you there. It's priceless. Right. And it's on the screen there. Yeah, just check that out. And it's very limited. And just so you know what's going on is Leslie is a multi-7-figure business owner. So it's not something that she's going to give you theory and ideas. She's an efficiency expert. I think you said the other day you're a certified efficiency expert.
I don't know if I'm certifiable. I don't know if I'm certified.
I thought there's something, but the point is she knows what the heck she's doing and she can help you get there. So I encourage you to jot this down, get in this challenge. She only does 1 or 2 a week, and I know she's booked out well in advance. But you can click on that, and it goes to her calendar, and you can get signed up. And then, as we said, hey, if you want to be successful, schedule it. Do something different. Get somebody in your corner that will get the pom-poms out and say, hey, you can do this. Leslie is that person. She's not a pom-pommer. I don't think so, but she will.
I'm not very good at rah-rah stuff.
No, she'll tell you, hey, you got 9 out of 10. Let's figure out what that 10th one was, and let's figure out what's and so anyway, check that out. Leslie, as always, it is a blast doing these with you. And today we were talking about, hey, why New Year's business goals fail. Now, there's no reason why yours should fail. We'll see you on the other side. Right. My name is Jeff Harris from Swing Point Media. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, which will be Season 2, Episode 1.
And while you're there, subscribe, like, and share. I hate saying that, but subscribe, like, and share because we want to keep doing this for you. So share it with people that might also be twisted, bent, and exhausted. I'm Leslie with Concierge Business Solutions.
We'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.